I am the informant. Money is a tool, and money is a tool that we have a relationship with. Adults tend to have a negative relationship with their money. Lower middle class, though the big, large group that just keeps getting poorer as time passes on, has a negative relationship with money. And that's largely contributing to the problem. Actually, I would say it's most of the problem. But what happens is children tend to pick up the lifestyles of their parents. So if their parents eat healthy, child tends to do that. If the parents exercise, child tends to do that. If the parent is good with money, child tends to be petted with money. What the lower and middle class are doing is, first off, not teaching their kids anything about money. They don't have money discussions. They don't have anything to do with money. They'll go to the store, kid is tagging along, kid says, I want X product. Parents' answer is yes, or we can't afford it. Their child has no relationship with money. Second is that parents, I would say, what is the term? When the parent chooses who the child is going to marry, that's kind of what parents do when they give their child an unearned allowance. So when we give our children an unearned allowance, we are telling children money is easy, money is fun, and money sticks around. Parents should not be giving their children an unearned allowance unless they are a governor who expects their child to grow up and earn money or make money without earning it. Like, that's pretty much, you better be a member of Congress if you're going to be raising your kids this way. Because if you're expecting your kid to grow up and you're expecting that they're going to have to work for their money, you should probably let it be known in childhood that that's how money works. The second thing that we do wrong is that we teach them that 100% of the money they make is going to be kept. And any adult who has ever had to pay bills knows that, in fact, a very small percentage of what you earn is actually kept for yourself. And so it should be with children. So the way we can model this in children is to inflate what we pay them and then include the cost of living. We need to do this, I would say, especially when you start off, especially if the child is young, do this weekly, because you want the child to be invested in providing time into the discussion of money, into the emotional connection through simulation of money. You can lecture a child or throw books at a child all day long, and a child watches a parent. They know that the parent has to go to work for the money, and they know the parent has to pay bills for the money, but they're not creating that emotional connection that exists there because it's not simulated. So we need to do that for them. So what I would recommend doing is inflating it. So first off, the parent needs to pick a chore. I say something like dishes. It's a chore that provides freedom of time to the parent, so it's actually worth the parent's time to have the child do this chore. It's a revolving chore, so it's going to need done every single day. So that's something that I think is appropriate to choose. So then you're going to tell the child, okay, percentage-wise, your debt is going to intervene. It's going to cross this. This is your cash flow, and this is your debt of the month. And your debt is going to push into that cash flow just a little bit, so that if you choose to not work today, this little area in here is what you're going to actually owe me, and that little piece is what you're not going to earn at the end of the week at all. It's lost. It's money that is lost because you chose to call in sick that day, okay? So you're going to tell the child, for example, you're going to earn $10 a day, but every day rent for your room costs $2. You eat food, costs another $2. Don't be arbitrary with this. Be percentage-wise with this. Your utility usage, you play Xbox, yada yada, you do these things. So we're going to average out that per day you consume $8. So at the end of the day, even though I've paid you 10, you've paid me back 8, so you have made $2. Now, should you choose, so really what's going to happen is you'll have earned $2.50, okay? You'll have earned $2.50, but because your cost of living, we'll say, overlaps right there, this right here is 50 cents. So now instead of earning $2.50, you've only earned 2, okay? Because this little area is debt that has overlapped into your cash flow. Now, if the child chooses to not work that day, they owe you $2.50. Now, that's a small percentage. They owe you $2.50. They profit by going to work only 2. So that if they choose to not go to work one day of the week, but choose to work all the other 4 days, they're still making the majority of their money. It costed them on average like 50 cents per day if they work the other 4 days. So then what happens is they lose that $2.50 at the end of the week. They feel that. They feel that because I didn't work, I didn't make the money that I would have. And that's a realistic picture. And that's how money works. And adults even do this. Here's my debt and here's my income. And they don't allow that understanding that it overlaps there to exist. And that's why we behave in really weird ways where we think we can just call in sick to work and that then we can come back the next day and things are going to be okay. And it just doesn't work that way. So you want to create a real relationship between your child and their money. And yeah, so please like, share, subscribe. And also, if you're somebody who is super into finances, please let me know what you think. If you're somebody who's super into child development and maybe you would like to compliment me on certain points or challenge me on certain points, please include those in the comments. If you're somebody who's already doing something similar to this, please include that. Please don't just provide your children with an allowance where it's 100%, and please don't let your children think that by not choosing to do the chore that week, they're gonna wind up at 0. Please let them feel that, no, there's a cost of living, and if I don't go to work, I'm going to end up owing, and over time, that's really going to hurt me. Please don't argue with the child. Let money and the child have their own relationship outside of you, and just hold your ground and let the consequences exist in real time. And lastly, also commit to not buying stuff for the child. Stuff does not include things like sports that help the child's development, after school clubs, school supplies. Those kind of things are not stuff. Even nice clothes for school is not stuff. Now, say the child is in a sport and wants a new pair of cleats. Now, this is something they need. We need new tires on our cars. Doesn't mean somebody's going to get it for us. Let the child have to save over time to earn the things they want, or experience not having that nicer thing because they chose to spend their money somewhere else. It is proven that as people age, their relationship with money tends to improve. Credit scores tend to rise with age. Savings accounts, investments, growth rate of money, all of these things improve with the age of adults. So by starting a real simulated relationship with money and your child earlier in life, you can put them ahead of the curve so that in their 20s they're treating money as if they're in their 30s and beyond, so that they can be ahead of their peers. And the really, really big difference I think that this can help create is going to college. I think if a child has a real relationship with money, when they go to college, they're first off going to be making sure they go into a focus, what do you call a college degree? Occupation, I'll say, where they are paying attention to how much the debt of college costs versus how much that career is going to pay them, so that they can make a smarter choice there, because that's really where the number one people in their 20s are hurting themselves, which can completely destroy or alter the arc of growth through their lifetime, which is why a lot of times you see these kids who went to trade school actually over their life do much, much, much better than the person who went to college. And they're also doing better than the person who didn't go to any school at all, who just graduated high school. So the person who went to the trade school tends to be on the best curve because they're getting paid a higher wage, but they're also not attaining a super high debt. So your child, by creating a relationship with money earlier, can form a stronger relationship and a more realistic relationship with money later in life. I am the informant. You have been informed. As I mentioned earlier, please comment if you agree or on points you would also like to challenge me on, be that with child development or finance.